What's going on? What's going on all across the world? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Poppy's Conversation Corner that happens right here on this platform weekly at 6:30. It's your boy Kerry, y'all, and I'm excited to be here to have this conversation on tonight with my very special friend. Like, this is going to be my friend. Hey. This is gonna be my friend when I get old and gray, and she's gonna be the one that I introduced to my pastor as my special friend. This young lady that's gonna be on here tonight is fire. She's the fire under my feet. She's I'm gonna say she's the lamp unto my path, but I can't say that. I'm gonna give that to my Almighty God. I'm not gonna give her that much credit, but she's a phenomenal young lady, and I'm excited to talk to her on tonight. Yes, we're talking about a serious conversation though, so I'm gonna be as serious as possible, as serious as I can be. We're talking about grief while leading. She's a leader. She's dealing with grief, and she's going to have this open conversation that she's never had before. So I'm not tiptoeing around it. We're going to jump right in it, and we're going to talk about this. But we have Karisma Hazel, the CEO of Poppy's Therapeutic Corner, a phenomenal young lady. But y'all, how y'all doing? Do me a favor. Come on in the room. I see y'all coming on in. Say hey, say hey, say hey. Share, heart this video. Let somebody know that this conversation is happening tonight, because guess what? At some form, in some fashion, we're all dealing, or we will all come across grief in our life, and it's how we're dealing with it. Everybody's not a leader, but even in that, this conversation can still help you. It still can. I mean, we're dealing with it. We're going to give you some tools. We're going to give you some ways that you can maneuver through this thing. A phenomenal therapist is going to be on tonight. So if we can go ahead and bring Charisma Hazel onto my platform, I said it. What's going on? Hey, special friend.
Yeah, I heard the comment that you were going to introduce me to your pastor as
Yes,
a friend.
yes.
So,
Because I feel like when I get old and gray, which I'm speaking it, if I don't have my person, this is gonna be my special friend. Because when you get old, you don't say this is my partner, this is my girlfriend, this is my boyfriend. You don't say stuff like that. You say this is my special friend. So,
special. Okay.
yes. So welcome, Charisma. How are you? How are you? How are you?
Man, I am amazing. Uh, I am. I don't know. I think I'm a bag of emotions right now, but I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I concur. I agree. I am everywhere, but
Okay.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be here.
Here.
But yeah, I'm here. I'm here. It's a lot going on. A lot going on in the world. A lot going on in my personal life. So yeah, but I'm excited to have this conversation because y'all,
Good.
I didn't say it before. If you didn't know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we're
Mhm.
celebrating it by bringing awareness to different types of mental challenges, mental things that we face in our lives. So today we're talking about grief, and we're talking about grief in specific to leaders.
Mhm.
But this still can affect you. So even if you're a leader, point blank, if you're the leader of your household, if you're the leader in your job, you're the leader in your family, your friendship circle, whatever you find yourself being the leader in, we want to help you maneuver through grief
Mhm.
because it's a real topic. It's a real thing. So I was actually looking. See, I'm not really good at multitasking. Charisma, you know that, right? Um,
Why, yes, I do.
you do you know that well? Or are you trying? Okay, you being shady right now.
as your special friend, I know. You see what I did there? Ta-da.
Yes. Did you turn that on me? I feel
I
like you turned.
did.
I feel
I
like you did.
did. Hello, everyone. I see everyone's comments posting. Hello, hello.
Yes, please like and share. Please like. Please like and share. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Come on in the room, heart the video, share it. Let somebody know about this conversation because it's gonna be powerful. When I tell you we're gonna unpack some things about grief, and she's gonna share her testimony, her story, of where she is in life. So I definitely want to jump in. So Charisma, tell us. We know that you're the CEO of Poppy's Therapeutic Corner. You've been operating for what, about close to 2 years now, going like almost 2 years in a sense. Over
Yeah.
a year as the CEO of Poppy's. Life, as we know it, has been coming, snowballing, if you will, and the effect has been happening. So, what's been going on though? So, you took over as CEO of this company, which, and you're doing a phenomenal job. I'm letting you know that, but you've been doing a phenomenal job in your position. She carries the weight even outside of the position of so much. So, what's been going on? Tell us about.
Yeah. So, first, I'm just so grateful for this platform and for this space and to be able to share my truth, right? So I took over as CEO January 1st, 2024. And on January 1st, 2024, I woke up and I said, okay, here we go. We're going to embark on this journey. And my mom came into the room and said that she was having trouble breathing. Um, and so I was like, okay, let's just kind of calm down, get some air, get some water, what have you. And some time went past. And I remember I walked in the room and I walked into my bedroom. And I heard my grandmother rush out of her room. And all I hear is my grandmother yelling and screaming. And she's yelling for my uncle to come. And then my uncle starts yelling. And I'm like, let me get up. Let me see what's going on. And so I rushed into the living room and we found my mom on the floor, like nearly unresponsive, choking, eyes is rolling straight into the back of her head. Um, and she's just literally gasping for air at this point. And so, we start yelling and screaming and praying. And so I call 911, we get some ice. We're trying to rub her with ice. We're trying to do CPR at this point because she can't breathe. And so we're trying to like sit her up because she's just going back like this, eyes back. I mean, it was a lot. And so finally, the EMT, they showed up and they came and they took her. From that, we ended up staying in the hospital for the whole month of January, actually. So the whole month of January 2024, we were in the hospital. And it turns out that my mom um, she had three arteries blocked at 99%.
Jeez.
And so, to give a little bit more context, my mother is a miracle because some 34 years ago, right before she had me, she was diagnosed with SLE lupus. And so the doctors told her that, she had 6 months to live some 34 years ago. And from then she pushed forward and she triumphed over all of her obstacles, all of her health challenges. And at that time, January 1st, 2024, her kidneys were working at 0% at that point. She was on dialysis 3 times a week. And her health was just definitely trending down. And so to hear that she had three arteries blocked at 99% was very detrimental because she would need to either have stents placed in her heart or have open heart surgery. And the doctors were telling me that given her health condition, given the likelihood of her surviving open heart surgery, given how fragile her body was, and everything like that, that open heart surgery would not really go too well. And so we were at a standstill. And so again, a month would pass, and we went through all of this. And so, to God be the glory, she was able to get stents in her heart, and they removed all of the blockages that was, in her arteries. And so here we are, top of February, and I'm like, okay. Well, that was such, a trying and traumatic month. So now let me focus on taking over this company. Let me focus on my people. Let me focus on gathering, getting my life back together. Well, I had about a month of that. And then March comes, and we then start to face some other health challenges. Um, my mother began to lose blood randomly. And so her hemoglobin level was at an all time low, and it was causing her to be obviously very sleepy and cold and pale and all of this. And so from March all the way till um, really all the way to the end, we had been fighting the battle of the loss of blood and everything, and constantly getting her transfusions and all of that. And so we spent 2024 in and out of hospitals. Literally every month we were in the hospital, maybe sometimes 2-3 times a month, dealing with this. And so it wasn't until about September of 2024 that it wasn't until about September 2024 that my mom went to the hospital to get a transfusion because her blood was low. Again, we couldn't find out where the bleeding was coming from. Multiple procedures to figure that out. Nothing was successful. And then September 24th of 2024, I guess she ended up getting some sores on her legs somehow. We thought it was just a scratch or something like that. My mom didn't pay any attention to that. Um, so that ended up actually growing into wounds that became on her leg. And so I remember right after we started school, on our school-based side, the kids went back to school and we're trying to rock and roll and this, that, the third. My mother calls me hysterically crying and saying she can't take no more. She can't do this anymore. It was just so difficult and hard for her and all of that. And I needed to come home immediately. And she was just crying out to God, like, Lord, I can't do this no more. I can't do this no more. So went home, all while carrying right this company and people's livelihoods in my hand and all of that. And I went home to Chicago and had a talk to her. I had a talk with her, and in that moment, she told me, and again, this is September. In that moment, she told me, Charisma, you know, these are my last days, and she gave me some instructions from that. And so I was like, Mom, don't say that. It's going to be okay. This, that, the third. And so literally maybe about a week later or 2 weeks later, the sores were so bad, she couldn't move. She couldn't get up. So they called the ambulance, they took her. And so she was in just excruciating pain. So they took her to the hospital, and the hospital gave her some pain medicine, and we're thinking everything is okay. It kind of calmed it down just for a little bit. And then at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I get a call from the hospital telling me that my mom is in ICU. Her blood pressure dropped tremendously, and she's out cold at this point. And I'm like, what just happened? And so that was the top of October. And so she, at the top of October, uh, had a ICU stay for about 3 weeks. or so. She ended up having many strokes on her brain, and she was knocked out pretty much. Funny is very funny though, because when I made it up there to see her, somehow, some way, she knew I was in the room, and I walked in and I said, "Mom," and I'm thinking she can't hear me, right? And I see you all this beeping, she's knocked out. The first thing she said, "Well, it's about time you finally got here." And I was like, "What?" Like, how do you even know a time? They're telling me you were out cold, but she knew my presence, right? And so from October all the way into December, we were in and out of ICU. We got her released for about 3 or 4 days. Got her released to go into a rehab center, and she was right back into the hospital. And so they ended up telling me that my mom was suffering from something called calciphylactics. This is where it's this disease literally eats up your skin, and causes these wounds and things like that on your body. And so these wounds are very much so prone to infection. And that is what my mom was experiencing, infections. And so the infection was just so much that it knocked her out. Clean code, and it was impacting her blood pressure, and all of that. And so again, from October into December, we stayed in the hospital. We spent Thanksgiving in the hospital. I mean, we it was such a very difficult time, until her and the Lord said that was it. And so December 14th at 3:04 p.m., they did announce her transition. And so I'm walking through that process of a whole year, right? A whole year of going back and forth from the hospital, going back and forth, from Chicago to Cincinnati, dealing with dealing with um, dealing with the weight of literally having my mother's life in my hands. I had to make decisions to put her on ventilators, to put her on life support, to take her off life support, to put her in hospice. Just let her be at peace and transition on by herself, or do I take all of do I follow what her wishes were and let her fight, and all of the nurses and the doctors and the hospitals not treating her correctly, not eating. And I mean, it was so much that went on with that. And then you move to the actual transition, and then you move to the space of after the transition, dealing with the funeral and the arrangements. And then once all of that is over, then you move to the space of picking up the rest of your life and finding out what the new normal is. And so that is our story. That is our story. And my mother is a miracle. Still was, and fought up to the very end until she decided she didn't want to do it no more, I believe. And yeah, so here we
So yes, Charisma definitely is a miracle baby. Her mother, it was a miracle who birthed a miracle baby. And it's great because I mean, she built her fort tough. So I don't like care what she had to go through to get. She built a fort tough baby. So that's the blessing in the situation. So but so you're telling me, and I know this, but I just want to reiterate this.
are. Hmm.
So January 1st, you step into a position um that you've never done before. You've never been a CEO, correct? Before.
No.
Okay, so and I know, like, a wealth of knowledge though. So that brain right there, I'm telling you, there are people who have doctorates, degrees, who drink from her well. Like, that lady has a wealth of knowledge, and I'm not just hyping her. Like, she don't pay me technically, so I'm not. I'm not. I'm not hyping her. Like, this is the truth. This young lady, and we've already told her story. Started as an intern here at Poppy's. So she's been in the mental health field prior, so she knows the lay of the land. Come into a organization as an intern to actually learn from the organization, because that's what interns are supposed to do. They come in to learn the lay of the land. The kind of she came in laying down the law of the land, and you got to this position, and then so you go from programs manager, right? Or was it
So I
program
went from intern to
intern?
quality assurance to programs manager, then to program director, then to CEO.
My God from Zion. So she took the 5-step program. I had to take the.
Literally.
I'm on my way to heaven. So am I. But no, so you took 5 steps. You got to the CEO position, and then the day that you are to step into that role,
The
the
day.
enemy just starts throwing all of this stuff at you.
Yeah.
So, because you're a woman of faith, I already know that, so I don't have to ask that. So you're a woman of faith. So in your mind, what are you thinking? Like, can you remember, like at that point, like what are you thinking? I know, like at this point, because you were technically already in Chicago. So the day that would have been your first day in your role, you're operating virtually, correct? Because
Correct.
you're not present technically in the city of Cincinnati.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I just wanted to let this be known. Like, yeah,
I was
so
coming back from a holiday vacation.
yeah.
And and I was not present in the city of Cincinnati
Okay,
at that
okay,
time.
okay.
But crazy thing. So I normally go home for the holidays. And I normally though pick one or the other, right? So I would go home for Christmas and then I'm somewhere else for New Year's.
Hmm.
For some reason, I decided to spend Christmas at my own house that year, and I said I'm going to go for New Year's. And so when I got there, and I knew that I was taking over as a woman of faith. I pray daily. I
Hmm.
consult God daily with everything that I do. And so um, I knew, though, I felt something was going. I believe New Year's Day, New Year's Eve was on a Sunday. And so I went to church that morning, and I had at the church I went to was a close family friend who's the pastor, and I had him and his elders pray over me because I felt something was getting ready to happen and to shift. And so the Bible says to call on the elders of the church. And so that is what I did. And lo and behold, not even 24 hours later, I'm sitting in a hospital room praying that my mom is waking up, or I'm watching her gasp, literally take almost maybe her last breaths, trying to do CPR. But I felt that battle. I felt that shift. I didn't know where it was coming from. And so in my mind, I was not surprised because the Lord had already prepped me for what was to come. I just didn't know what it was. Was I worried? Absolutely. Was I wrecked? Absolutely. Was I nervous? Yeah, absolutely. But the faith side of me kept strong because I knew that I was in a fight, and I knew that she was too.
So so spiritually, you're grounded.
Hmm.
Again, you're going in as this new leader. Um, so did like of course. So you said you were worried. You had all the like these things going on in your head. But how did you maneuver through it? Like trying to like plant your feet as the leader though, because
Hmm.
again, this is new. So you're going into a new situation, meaning as the leader, but you're
Hmm.
dealing with a new situation because now at this point you're dealing with the
Yeah.
possibility of loss because well, actually she was gone at this point. She was so she had transitioned at this point. So
No.
now
Well, in the January
the
24th,
January,
she was not transitioned yet. She
she
was
hadn't
no.
because it would have been the end of the year.
Hmm.
See, my timeline just got thrown off. Oh, because so 2024 January
Hmm.
is actually when you get the call to the initial piece of it. Get it like you have to get her to the hospital. So
Yeah.
actually, you have to go through this whole year as CEO back and forth to the hospital.
Yeah.
How
Hmm.
was that? Like,
Oh my.
Yeah. How was that? Because I mean, I know I was there, but like, how
Well,
was?
you know, it, it was trying. I I have a great team. I have a great team and a great group of friends and family. But it was definitely trying. Sitting bedside in a hospital, sometimes in ICU with your computer open, trying to make sure that you carry the weight of the organization and other people and solve problems and give directives and all of that again was absolutely trying. It broke my heart to have to try to not fully, you have to balance. Let me say like that, you have to balance how to be present.
Mhm.
You have, you want to be there full-fledged, and present with your loved one, but also life is life and duties are duties. And so it definitely was trying. It was heartbreaking. um, it was it was very emotional. It was one of the most difficult times of my life for sure. Definitely having to say, hey, mom, I'll be right back. I got to go run to this meeting. And she's in the hospital bed, like, I'm by myself. I need somebody here. I want somebody here. And you're a voice for your loved one in that type of situation, right? You're a voice to the doctors, you're a voice to the nurses, and you're even a voice to them because you're a calming, soothing, piece of comfort for them. But then you also have to be a voice in your duties and in your roles and in your responsibilities. And I think it was definitely a lot.
So, because and again, I said it initially. I want to like dig deep into this. So if it gets too much, put up one finger. If
My
you're
church
okay,
can,
yeah. If you're okay, if you want to exit out, do the one finger. Um, but so you're dealing with this grief.
yeah.
You're dealing because again, the situation is going on. You're currently in the midst of, I don't know what's happening. Like the enemy is attacking me. Is attacking my mother. I'm prayed up. I'm trying to stay prayed up. I'm trying to stay encouraged. But you're operating as a leader over individuals who, in a sense, sympathize. So you have your employees, your staff who's sympathizing with you, but life is still life, and for them, they still have questions. They still have things going on. So they're like, in a sense, because you do have a team around you, but and you're still active, so you're it's not like you're like took all you it's not like you stepped all the way back, so you're still in the trenches, so they're reaching out to you. Did you find yourself, like, in a sense, operating out of character, if you will, or out of self, because you're in a grief mode, you're in grief state, so like finding yourself maybe a little bit more snappier, a little bit more like
Yeah.
punchy, like you don't go too far, but like, did you find yourself in that position, like as the leader?
Yeah, no, so that's a really great question, right? So let's first kind of talk a little bit about kind of the practical sides of things, right? And what theory tells us in this profession. So there are 5 stages of grief, right? There's denial, there's anger, there's bargaining, there's depression, and there's acceptance, okay? And you go through all 5 of these stages, and you might get to stage 3 and then relapse to stage 1, right?
Mm,
And so all while going through all of 2024, while going through everything that I went through with my mother and trying to lead this organization, I had to try to find myself and get myself to the acceptance stage
mm,
because I was grieving someone while they were alive, right? And I have to mentally prepare myself for the next steps. Should this happen and when it happens, because we all know we're going to go that route one, sooner or later, right? And so when this happens, what does this look like? And so I had to allow myself to go through those stages. I had to allow myself to relapse,
Mm-hmm.
to revert, right, in those stages. And so, did I find myself out of character? I really try to be intuitive because I know I have an understanding of kind of what some things look like. Um, I was really trying to really be in tune with myself, and not project that on to other people and into that workspace. But I'm not gonna lie, was I angry? Yeah. Was I in denial? Yeah. Was I moody? Yeah. But don't do that.
Right.
But that if and if that was shown, that was shown to my closest people.
Mm-hmm.
That was shown to the people that gives me space and grace
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that. I learned a lot, and I think that this is something that I have come to understand, is that there is a grace in grief.
Mm.
There is a grace,
That's deep.
believe it or not, in grief. And I had to allow myself to get to that space. And what that looked like for me was to allow myself to feel. I didn't cut off me feeling. I
Mm.
didn't say, all right, well, it's been 2 days. I can't be moping around. I can't do this. I got to get to it. I got to get to that. I allowed myself to be in that space and to feel all that that felt. Um, I allowed myself to give myself permission to
Mm-hmm.
not be okay, to give myself permission to not push through and be strong, because I don't have to be. I don't think it's realistic
Mm.
for someone to experience all that comes with grief and loss and you not be impacted in some way, shape, or form. And I think sometimes we're so socialized to just keep going,
Yeah.
pick up and be strong, right? And so and that was me. I'm like, keep going, okay? Keep pushing. But in grace that I have in grief, I've learned to set my boundaries. I've learned my limits. I've learned my capacity. I've learned to say, hey, I can't give of myself right now. I can't do it, because if I do, I know that I might be moody, I might be snappy, I might be like, this is going to spill over into this space. And so setting those boundaries, knowing your limits, and allowing yourself to feel really cultivated that grace for me. And still to this day operate in that.
So, so we're encouraged. How tough was it? Oh, let's ask this question then. How tough
Mhm.
was it to grieve in a position to lead a company as a Black woman? Ooh, child.
Oh, I love that question. It was tough. And the reason being is because, again, Black women were strong. We persevere, we figure it out, we push through, we defy odds, um, and we make it happen.
Yeah.
So, how do you deal with the remorse that you feel when you don't make it happen or you can't figure it out? You don't feel like pushing through. You don't want to push through that guilt, right? And so it was tough. And so what I learned is that no is an absolute complete sentence. I learned that no it's okay to say no. It's a firm boundary, and that there is strength and power in saying no. So just as much as there's strength in pushing forward,
Mm-hmm.
there's strength in saying, I'm not going to overextend myself. I'm not going to push forward. I'm not going to tough it out. And I'm strong enough to say that because I'm self aware, because I'm intuitive, and because I get to put me first in this moment. And when I let go of the thought that I had to push forward as a Black woman, as a leader, and I have to do this because we have this organization, we have people's livelihoods and things like that, in our hands. We are a minority owned, led, operated, and staffed organization, and so we already have odds stacked against us just from just stepping in the room, right? How do I say, hey, I can't do this? And how does that really cultivate the strength or the same strength that it takes to push forward? And so when I let go, like I said, of just having to be so strong all the time and understanding it's a mind change. I had to redirect and reframe right there that there's strength in saying, no,
Mhm.
I can't, because I want to give my all and I can't give my all right now. So there's strength in that, there's power in that. Boom.
Yes,
My
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I just want to reiterate this. So if you're watching, one, we're talking about grief while operating in leadership. But again, we at some point in life will deal with the word grief. We all will come into the um, experience of having to maneuver through grief. We all deal with it different ways. I wanted to get the definition of grief as well, so I looked up the Webster's dictionary
all
version
right,
of grief.
Webster.
Yes, and in reality, like at some point you're going to deal with this definition. At some point you're going to have to come across this definition, and we wanted to encourage you, give you some tips on how to maneuver through it. And Charisma encouraged us, and I heard two different ways, so if you want to jump in after I say the two ways, if there was more, I heard to offer yourself grief, offer yourself grace through your grief.
Mm-hmm.
Grace
Grace.
and grief. Yes. And then learning the power of no, that it's okay to say no. It's okay in your time of grief to not always be the yes person, to not always be present, show up. Learning that like it's okay for you to take that time out for yourself so that you can become whole again to give that yes and operate in it. And she was just dropping the stuff. So in my head, I'm trying to process this because again, she's gonna school you, educate you, take you to church, all in the same conversation.
Yes.
Y'all, I'm telling y'all, this is the person. No, I don't want y'all. I want you to know her, but to a limit. You can't take her away from me. So, because I am a jealous friend. Yes, and it's okay. That's right, Monica. It's okay for a black woman, and I'm gonna add myself in there, a black man to say no as well. Y'all, I'm telling you, this woman's story testimony is powerful. So, charisma. I definitely wanted to jump into one of these one more questions and then prepare your mind to drop a gem for us as well before we get off. I always encourage our guests to leave us a gem to carry out through the rest of the week until next Wednesday. So
Mhm.
be prepared to shed some light on some wisdom that you have. But I wanted to ask this question. So, can a leader show how you know I was about to say see Mikey is the bomb.com. That's crazy because that's weird. I love her. Can leaders show vulnerability without losing authority, in your opinion? Like, because again, you're going through this grief stage. And we're gonna talk about you specifically. So you as a leader, do you feel that you can show vulnerability and gain the respect of your peers in a sense because um in reality I honestly think you're the youngest at the practice possibly.
Yeah,
uh
maybe.
yeah, it's like you're close to one of the youngest at the practice. I know you're younger than me and Jen. It's like no. But at the end of the day, so you're going through this grief stage. You're going through your five different stages and relapsing, and then going through your five different stages. Like so, you're going through all of this. You have to gain the respect of individuals who at one time saw you as an intern, at one time saw you as a quality assurance person, at one time saw you as the program manager, at one time saw you as the program director. So they saw you in all these different lights. And then you go literally from the bottom to the top, and all of a sudden now you're in grief. And now all of a sudden you have to pour out even more than you were pouring out before. And all the while gain the respect because now I have to gain the I'm like this the weight is on my shoulder. So I'm going to be the end all be all in a sense. Now I'm not. I'm going to operate and we're team. We're this. We're that. But ultimately, like I carry this weight. One wrong mistake.
Yeah.
So and you have to respect my decisions. You have to respect because it was a thing. Like and I speak on it personally because you coming in, she's shaking up some stuff. No, we putting these policies and procedures in play. We're gonna operate this way. We're gonna do it this way. Who she thinks she is? Like Jen, can you tell her that we're not doing something this way? So how are you operating this? How are you doing this? You're in grief and you're gaining the respect of your peers, who again are like your elders to some extent, because some of them are. They're like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, two things. Okay. One, I believe respect works like this. Okay. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm,
And so that is how I ask for respect
mm,
from from um, from my staff. Um, it's not about earning anything.
mm,
It's not about demanding anything. It's it's literally knowing that I care. I'm here and I'm present as much as I can be. How can if we have a problem? How can we come together to figure it out? Um, I am responsible as a leader in this position. I'm responsible for people.
mm,
I'm responsible not just for, their livelihoods, but I'm responsible for their emotional well-being.
mm,
Um, I'm responsible for how they view folks in this profession. I'm responsible for how they view Black women in leadership, right? And so to me, respect is, again, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
mm,
so to answer that question, can leaders be vulnerable
mhm,
um, without losing authority? Absolutely. Reason being because that's what makes you um, relatable. That's what makes you human. That's what makes you present and with your staff,
mm,
and with with everyone that you are around.
mm,
um I think there's power in being vulnerable. I'm not high and mighty.
mhm,
I'm not set apart. I'm not untouchable. I too am human. I feel. I go through my emotions. I need my time to recharge. And I'm okay with you seeing that, because then you know that it's okay. Right? Then you know that it's okay to feel. That you know that it's okay to say, "You know what? Today is not a good day. Maybe I cannot pour today. I don't want to bleed what I have going on into this, right?" And so maybe it's okay for me to just take a moment and step away and breathe until I have my all to give. So yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. I love that. I want to go back. I believe it was Monica who asked about the being the Black woman in leadership. But even with that, and I know I want to wrap this up because this can go on and on. Great conversation. So do us a favor, hit the share button, heart this video. But with that though, so did you not feel any like pull as like a Black woman in leadership? Like you didn't feel like, because again, that is a stigma for even women in leadership because it's an emotional roller coaster at times. In a sense, that's the thought, that's the stigma, as because you're operating in your emotions, you're leading it with your emotions. Did you not feel like that could come into play? So like, oh, if you're happy, then you're gonna like treat us happy. If you're so like, oh no, that's just that's just a woman in leadership. Or did you ever feel that in like while operating? Because again, you're in your grief stage. So we're going through this. You're in your grief stage, and in a sense, you're feeling what you're feeling. So around you, you didn't feel as like a pool of maybe like I'm trying to word this right without sounding like chauvinistic, like being a chauvinist. Or, but no, as a woman, you didn't feel like they're gonna look at me like, oh, I'm soft, or like, so I'm laying the law. So I'm not gonna show the vulnerabilities side of it versus like,
Mm.
you get where I'm going, like versus
Yeah,
like,
I think
so
so.
because at the end of the day, like if you come in being too like, oh, I care too much, then people can take that as a weakness, sign of weakness. So like I can do what I want in the sense, or I can get away with this because I can just tell her my story and she's gonna let work through with me. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Versus no, this is what I said. This is the policy. This is the procedure. This is the way we do it. I care. I'm here,
Yeah,
but did you find yourself in that? That's what
yeah.
I'm trying to say. So like, yeah, because you're being present, you're showing that you care. So you gain the respect in a sense until you lose it because now they're using your care for for weakness, a sign of
Mhm.
weakness.
Yeah.
Did you feel that? Did you experience?
Um, yeah, I think I've come across some situations as such.
Was I one of those situations?
Okay. I think that I've definitely crossed that path, right? And here's the thing: the facts are the facts.
Mhm.
The facts are the facts. The procedures and policies are the procedures and policies. Um, and the decision is yet still the decision. And I think that there's a way to render such decisions and have such conversation. Um, and also all the while holding space
Mhm.
um for that person. And in my profession, in this profession, as a therapist, we use confrontation as a technique, right? There, and I do believe that there is a such thing as healthy confrontation. um,
Mhm.
but sometimes with our clients, we have them confront certain ideas or perceptions, and then we hold space for that. And so I think I've definitely translated that into this space and being able to have those difficult conversations. And sometimes I might say, hey, listen, we're about to have a very difficult conversation.
Mhm.
And so, you know, my tone here is a bit strict and a
Mhm.
bit stern here, simply because the severity of this conversation.
Mhm.
And so I think it's just really all about how you set that up and the tone that you set. But I have not been concerned about folks using my kindness for weakness, um, because I'm just we have to be as real and transparent as
Mhm.
possible. And should that have happened, should that have been their intent, my response to something like that has always been, that's the seed that they're sowing.
Mhm.
That's no indication of me, and that's not my heart, that's not my will, that's not my intention. And so you shall reap whatever seed that you sow. And so as long as I'm walking with a clean and clear heart as a leader, and I'm doing what I feel I'm called to do in the way that I'm called to do it, then that's all that I can be concerned about.
I love it. I love it. I like the way you always eat me up with my questions. I love that for you. I love that for you. I thank you though. Thank you so much for being open, transparent, vulnerable. I know it was a hard things because that was the first time you told the story from beginning to the end. Um, and there's more to it. I mean, because you're still in a sense operating in it. You still have things going on. But I do believe you have the right people around you. You have an amazing family. I love her family. Phenomenal grandmother who is a woman of faith. I'm sure who's covering you and you're covering her in prayer. So I thank you for telling that story. there's more to come about it. Like I feel like we should do more to this part two, three, four, and five, because phenomenal story about a phenomenal family, a faith. Thank you again. Do us a favor, share the video. Hopefully, you get some knowledge out of it, some tools to help you operate through grief. But Charisma, before we get off, share with us. I mean, you already done it. Oh, Angie was watching. Hey, Angie. Did you know that? You already knew that, didn't you? I didn't know that. But anyway, so share with us, a gem or two.
Yeah.
Not a two.
So, so a few things before I share that, Jim. I want to say thank you for hosting this space and this platform, to all of my family and friends and colleagues I'm seeing folks just pop up. Hey, I'm seeing folks pop up. My family near and far. Again, colleagues, friends, everyone that has hopped on and that has supported tonight's conversation. Thank you so very much.
Very much.
Um, and to your point of part 2, 3, and 4, I am so happy to share the this next step that I'm taking forward, or I am launching it in, if you will, I should say. I do believe that there is grace in grief, and I'm
Mhm.
learning that every day. I'm exploring that every day. And so I have been doing a phenomenal collaboration, and I'm a part of an organization called Triumphant Together.
Mhm.
And we have had what are called healing peaks. And so it is just spaces that we get together and we really have some healing conversations. We have taken a break for a while, but we are rebooting.
Oh, you're
We
coming
are
back?
rebooting. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Anyhow, so we are rebooting come May the 15th. All right.
Woo!
And the first series, we are doing series. And so the very first series, a 6-week series. Okay. And that series is called Grace in Grief. It is facilitated by me. It is again a closed group session, but we're talking about grief. And let me also be clear with this, okay? Grief does not necessarily have to be grief of a loved one,
Loved one.
or a person. It could be grief of a job, grief of how the old days used to be, right? So much is going on in the world and in our society, and maybe we might miss the way things were when gas prices were, 89 cents a gallon
89
or something
cents.
like that.
It,
Whatever that looks like, grief of a pet, or just maybe the loss of yourself. Maybe you're
Mhm.
grieving yourself and how you used to be and don't know how to get centered back into that. I charge you to come and join this group. Again, it's starting May the 15th. You can go to www.triumphanttogether.com and you can register for that group. We'll probably also be posting some things here, on the Poppies page as far as the registration links and things like that is concerned. But let's come together. Let's continue to have these talks. Let's continue to empower one another, share our stories, but most importantly, let's continue to support one another throughout this space. I think there's power in community. And so we're just so grateful to be able to have that platform, to come together and to share.
Oh,
But to the gym, all
yes.
right, to the gym. I think the one thing that I've held on to is that the way that you perceive a thing determines how you go through it. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. The way that you perceive, the way that you think a thing is going to determine how you're going to go through that situation, how you're going to go through that thing. And so I've been walking that out personally. um i see I see my mother's transition as victorious versus um versus just sad and just like, oh my gosh. And it's now, was it traumatic? Yes. Was it traumatic seeing her take her last breaths? Absolutely. Was it traumatic just going through everything that came with all of that? Is it sad? Yes. Do I miss her daily? Yes. but I have to reframe, I have to shift how I think about the situation. And then that's going to determine how I go through it. And so once I get done crying, once I get done, just going through that, my mother always told me, get up, put some cold water on your face, put your makeup on, and keep on moving. Okay. And so I keep that, and I hold on to that because it really helps me go through that situation and go through grief in grace and
Mhm.
in somewhat of a victorious manner. And so that's the one thing that I can definitely say is just, again, the way that you perceive something to be is going to determine how you're going to go through that situation. So be very mindful of how you perceive situations, of how you perceive people. Be just be very mindful of your thoughts, and that should hopefully change the direction and just everything that comes with that, as you walk through those situations.
I love it. I love it, y'all. You heard it. How you perceive a thing is how it'll help you get through a thing. So be mindful of what you're thinking. Control those thoughts. Take charge of your thoughts. Take control of it. Y'all, we're here every week, every Wednesday at 6:30, having these great, amazing conversations with great people. Next week, we're having a great conversation. I'm excited about it. And I want you to join us. We're talking behind the smile, depression in everyday life. We have a great guest who's going to be with us. I'm keeping it a secret until we put that flyer out there because I'm actually like really proud of this individual. People are ready to tell their stories and they're
Yeah.
choosing me to do it. I'm excited. So y'all join us next week, 6:30. Great conversation. Follow us on our Poppies page if you're not doing it. Follow our page. Heart our Instagram. Do all of that. Not our Instagram or YouTube account. Follow us, y'all. We're doing some great work here at Poppy's Therapeutic Corner. Shout out to Jennifer Sheard, the founder of it. I saw her on tonight. Shout out to you. Thank you for all you've done to get us thus far. Thank you for allowing us to take it even further. We're
Further.
grateful. We're grateful. We're grateful. We're grateful. But y'all, we'll see y'all next week. Love y'all. Be blessed.
Bye. Thank you guys.
Charisma, stay backstage. Thank you.
Okay.